Hi, everybody. It's Nisha Zachary. Welcome to Permission to Leap. Today we have with us Megha Rodriguez. Megha is an intuitive business coach with an emphasis on helping business owners share their soul-filled message in their online marketing. She has been an entrepreneur for over 18 years and has overcome a myriad of personal hurdles and mindset transformations to be where she is today. She is committed to helping transform the victim conversation on the planet, helping people shift tragedy and adversity to become the rocket fuel for their own success and happiness. Hi, Megha. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi. It's good to be with you.
I'm so excited. So can you tell us a little bit about your own story and how you got where you are?
Well, there have been people that have said that my overall life story should be a Lifetime movie, and maybe one day I'll do that. But basically, I didn't go to public school until I was 11 years old because I was homeschooled on a farm in southeast Oklahoma, basically raised by what would kind of be the equivalent of a Warren Jeffs kind of person, if you remember that from the news, or the guy Castro that had the girls like locked up in the house. So that was kind of my entree to the world. And then I never had any personal development work done. Or any healing that was done. So my 20s was like a massive train wreck, although I was still very successful. I had my first business I launched my first business when I was 24, which is a massage therapy company. And I had it with my husband at the time, and we had, like 40 therapists in 5 locations by the time we were done. And I was totally self-taught. I jokingly say that for the same amount of money that we went into business debt was about the same as it would have been for a master's degree. So my master's degree in business is in the School of Hard Knocks.
Here you go. That's awesome.
Yeah, in marketing, and especially because marketing and human resources, those were really the two things. I was managing people, and I was managing how to build a business that had recognition. And this was before we really had the internet.
Okay.
My first website was in 1998, 99. And I was doing online scheduling in 2001. So if you go way back. So my experience and through the success and equal tragedy of my business and personal life, it really allowed me to get to a point where I had to take what we like to call in the work that I do a spiritual crisis of meaning, and how to take that spiritual crisis of meaning and turn it into something that was much more empowering. So in my mid 30s, I got remarried, and I realized, I better have kids before I get too old. It's like I always wanted to be a mom, but it's never been like the thing that drove my life. So became a mom. And shortly after having my second child, they're about 3 years apart, but having my second child, so I was 39 years old, and I had a near fatal accident in 2014 that was life-changing and life-defining and purpose affirming. And so it really was something that I had a chance to take a serious look at how your life purpose really keeps you alive sometimes. Yep. And it was out of that I sort of stepped or leaned into what I do now, which is I still do the social media, I still do the business and the marketing coaching, but I have brought into it scientific hand analysis and human design to help people really be fully and truly in soul alignment, because I know how much work I had to do to get to that point and to where I am today. So
that's awesome. Okay, so what is your definition of permission?
Permission? Don't ask for it. No.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Permission, I think, is you feeling truly okay with whatever it is that you're going to do, whether you get it permission from yourself, from God, or from, if you attribute your power to some outside source. It's wherever you feel like you have the allowance to do something.
Okay. But you said don't ask for it. What does that mean?
Well, that would be indicative of my rebel nature, which is that I usually don't ask for permission. And by the way, I'm going to do this. I just thought I would let you know is about my equivalent of permission or asking for it. So I usually go by what my intuitive I think that's where my permission is when I say, like your permission from God. I think it's like if you can really tap into the intuitive side of when you know the whisper at your soul level, when it comes in, that's permission. But it doesn't necessarily mean going to consult your 70 friends on Facebook who all like to cavort about whatever they happen to think you should be doing.
Gotcha. Okay. So why do you think that people are afraid to give themselves permission to share with the world?
I think we're taught to ask for permission. First off, I think that, maybe that was part of me being unschooled. I didn't ever have to ask permission to go to the bathroom, to do anything, until I was 11 when I went to regular school. But I think the thing is that generally we are socialized that you are bad or wrong or you're just a troublemaker if you don't ask permission. So I think that for a lot of us, we ask permission so that we stay comfortably approved of by other people,
right,
and our social circles.
Okay, that makes sense. So what was the point where you decided that you had to give yourself permission or just give up?
I had to do that really young. So without too much backstory, because of my upbringing from my stepfather, at the age of 9, he went to my mother, and when I was just turning 9 years old, and I was witness to the conversation. He went up to my mother, and he informed her that he was taking me as his second wife. Now, understand that I was in a cult type of situation. And I remember that he used to get mad whenever I would do anything without his permission. So it was complete control.
Right.
And one of those permissions was permission to be in relationship with God. That was my earliest form of not asking for permission anymore.
Okay.
Because he tried to inform me that he was my gatekeeper to God.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that was my when you ask that question, that's the first thing that really comes to mind is like, that's when I decided that permission, because I had always felt like as a child, I had this like connection to God. And I didn't need anybody to give me permission to have it. And so when he actually stepped in front of me and was like, I decide how your relationship to God is, I was like, oh, no, you don't.
I love it. You've been a badass from the beginning. Oh, man, perfect. Okay, so what was your first step? Once you decided, okay, you're not going to do this, what was your first step?
The first step was just do it. I mean, like, I think if you get to the point that you're going to disregard permission or waiting, you just take the step, like whatever is the next logical progression. And for me, that was to go in my bedroom and sit there and pray to God. Like, no one taught me that. I just, like, that was the next thing. I was like, well, nobody gets to give me that permission.
Right.
So I'm just going to do it. So I think whether it's, I want to go to Thailand on a meditative trip, I'm not going to go ask permission. I'm going to check and make sure that my flight schedules and I've got a babysitter somewhere that can manage to back me up on the decision. And I'm going to say, I booked a trip to Thailand. That's the decision. So it's like the commitment of the decision. You just the first logical next step to taking the action to put it into play.
Commitment and then action. I like that. That's perfect. Okay, so you're ready to take this trip to Thailand on a meditation, but there are some women that are going to have that fear in the back of their minds because they've been asking for permission for so long. So how do you deal with that fear that's standing between you and that action step?
That's a really good question. I still deal with that, depending on what it is. In full disclosure, I haven't taken the trip to Thailand yet, but I think it's on my liberation list for this next year.
Nice.
So the first step, I think, is making sure that you have your plan laid out, because I think that many times, if you don't have the plan, at least, and by plan, I mean a rough sketch, because I'm not real attached to solid plans, because I found that God has a sense of humor about solid plans anyway. So it's sort of like a rough pencil sketch on the back of a napkin level plan.
With real light lines.
But I think without the plan, you got to at least kind of know, well, that's the top of the mountain, and I'm at the bottom of the mountain, and that's how I'm going to get there. I think that's how I'm going to get there.
Okay.
At least you have some idea.
Okay.
So it's some semblance of a plan.
So even if there's a block, you know that there's a way around it.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what is one key piece of advice that you have for someone who is afraid to get honest with sharing their personal story?
Oh, good question. One piece of advice, well,
Or
being that we're in the world of social media,
right.
it would be learn how to use the block function on Facebook or unfriend, unfollow, whatever. If you have people who are, I don't know, you ever heard the crabs in the bucket analogy, how when the crab's trying to climb out, there would be another crab that's like, well, you're going to get back in here with us. So I think that you have to learn how to organize your friend list. Nice. So that you can start to be unfiltered at the level where it's actually comfortable. For some of you, I think that might mean a Facebook group, a private secret group where you invite people in, where you can get kind of bare your soul, share things you want to share, get the reinforcement, have the dialogues, and then to expand outward. For others of you, if you're a little more extroverted and a little more rebellious like me, then you just learn to use the block button. Because there are people that have probably been swimming around in your auric field, in your Facebook social field, that have been trolling, for lack of a better word,
right,
waiting for the opportunity to criticize you, to comment some snarky thing that makes you second guess yourself. So I think it's about cleaning out and distilling the circle of people in which you entrust with your message, because you need that initially to give you the confidence to share unfiltered and from a place of full support and integrity. Because otherwise you end up like trying to bat off all the crabs that are trying to pull you down in the bucket, which turns into this sort of vitriolic kind of low energy. Yeah.
Right. Very true. Okay. So how do you stop the avoiding the visibility? I think your terms are stop hiding your brilliant wisdom from the world. So how do you do that?
How you stop hiding? I'm thinking that this is the most common conversation that I have with clients. Stopping hiding means getting really clear on what you're here to tell. Because when you get clear on what it is that you have been given and imbued a message upon you through the journey of your life, that if you don't tell it, it will not be told. It will not hit the ears of the people it's supposed to hear. When you can get out of bed in the morning, put your feet on the ground, and know that the message that has come through you, through your experiences, is the message that you are here to deliver, I think it sort of empowers that. It gets you past that fear of, well, I don't know if I should say that, because there's even if you and I said the same thing, we wouldn't say it exactly the same. Because we have the different experience. So I think the first step to not hiding is to really become crystal clear on what you're here to tell. Otherwise, you can kind of ramble around, and then you'll still hide because no one will actually know what you do or what you're saying because they can't understand you.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So you've been doing this for 18 years?
I've been an entrepreneur for 18 years.
Wow. That's crazy. So in your time, you've made obviously a lot of progress. You've gone through all the changes in the internet and all of that. But during all of that, was there something that was holding you back from reaching your true greatness?
Yeah. It was seeking love and acceptance.
Oh, wow.
And when I say that, what I mean is that I have spent, and I'm actually getting ready to write a book on this. I've had a few different books I was going to write, and this one has finally got distilled. I've been longing for love most of my life, longing for a sense of completion most of my life. And therefore, because I was longing for love, what happens is that the majority of my decisions and my actions were aligned to try to find the match to that, which would be that someone would love me and approve of me.
Right.
So it has been the thing that I have had to get the most clear on about how I evolve into who I truly am.
Right.
That's not governed by that need, that longing, and that yearning for love. So that, for my particular situation, that's what it is. But I think it's obviously different. Some people will say it's money. Some people will say it's whatever. But it's usually deep-root emotion at some level, clearing anger or whatever.
Right. Okay. What's the best advice that you've ever received?
Oh man, I've paid for a lot of advice. The best advice I've gotten, which is free, which is, don't take it personally. It's I know it's heard a lot, but I think it bears repeating that oftentimes we will take personally what other people have for filters and for opinions about what it is that we're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Or what we're supposed to be saying. So I think it's don't take it personally, because people will project their fears, their judgments, their experiences, the only things that they actually know how to use as reference points, as things that, they either will try to support you with it or they'll try to hold you back with it. But in either case, it's still personal because it's their stuff. It's not your stuff. So I think that's the best piece of advice I ever gotten, is don't take it personally. And I don't think I truly understood that for a lot of the years that I heard it.
So how did you reach the point where you did understand it? Because that's like the hardest thing that I've found, is not to take it personally, when a lot of times it feels like it's directed, right at you.
I'm gonna give a reading reference right now. If you've not read the Four Agreements,
I've read
Don Miguel Ruiz and the Four Agreements was where I think I finally got it, because he just states it so clearly and from this kind of non-detached position. So I think that the Four Agreements was it for me, but I also have done some personal development work where I really got to do that. One was 100% responsibility exercise that Jack Canfield does.
Mm-hmm.
Where you actually take 100% responsibility for your life. And if you really do that exercise, it means that literally every single situation that's ever occurred in your life, you have to take 100% responsibility for it, which means you have to take responsibility for how you react to it. And that, to me, is where the don't take it personally really set in. Was I had read the Four Agreements at that point, and then I got that exercise, and I was like, well, I can't possibly take 100% responsibility for X, Y, and Z.
Exactly.
And I realized, and that's in the Success Principles, his book, The Success Principles, mm-hmm. which I highly recommend to everybody. It just like sat in one day, like, oh, this means that even if someone comes at me with blame, hate, judgment, love, it doesn't fear, no matter which way they angle it at me, my not taking it personally means that I have to own the power of whatever situation is. So therefore, not taking it personally sometimes means just taking control of it. And by that, I mean taking control of how you're responding to everything around the circumstance.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay, so what's one personal habit that you have that contributes to your success?
Persistence. I don't know if it's a personal habit, but it definitely contributes to my success. I'm actually not very good about habits. I'm working on that. That's my next level of success, is to really be good at my habits. But I think that the one habit that I have is I question everything, and I'm persistent about it. And so those two kind of go hand in hand, because at any time I deal with a process or a challenge or a decision,
right.
I always look at it like I be able to argue anything from both sides and to not give up. Like, so that is the persistence is the thing that has been my personal habit against any other things. Although when it comes to not eating chocolate, I can't say that that's true, but I will persistently find chocolate, not avoid it.
There you go. Sometimes that's what you need. Chocolate and wine.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. You question everything, but you seem very confident. So how do you get to the point where you no longer question yourself?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. That's like an Oprah level, Super Soul Sunday level question. How do I, well, I think that actually some of that comes down to the work that I've done most in the last couple of years, okay. which is around like soul-centered knowing. if you're questioning, my thought is this, from having questioned myself a great deal in my life, and generally now I don't, which kind of annoys some people that used to use that as leverage. I think that not questioning yourself gets to the point where you're so deeply connected to your intuition, to your what I like to say is like your polar north of your compass, right? Like you're just so certain of the direction that you are here to take that you stop questioning yourself, and you'll start to see things that would otherwise maybe say, oh, well, maybe I'm going the wrong direction. And you'll start to notice them as intuitive guides to turn the direction just a little bit, or to do things just slightly different, or to take the lesson without taking the offense. Wow. So I think it's a matter of not questioning myself has come from stripping away all the scars that sort of piled up over the course of my life. Wow. That was the first step in that. But then the second step was really learning that once you strip out the scars and the stories that you've been told, then you start to have to listen to the intuitive guidance system that we're all built with. We all have it.
Let me ask you this. For those people that don't understand the intuitive guidance system, can you explain that like really simply?
I will do my best. That's a really good question as well. So intuitive guidance, some people say, I just have this gut feeling, right? Okay. And then they go, I don't listen to, I'm not going to listen to that, right? But it's like for some people it shows up as literally like in the gut, like they go, no. And in that moment, when that and happens, like that's the intuition, I think. At this point, if I backtrack through my life, and in the world of human design, we actually talk about how some people have that ability to really follow that, and other people have what's called an emotional wave. Like they have to ride the wave. Like they'll go, oh my gosh, there's a $10,000 program, I'll go buy that tomorrow. And the next day they're like, I can't believe I did that, right? But there's other people that are like, not doing that, and they just stand right there on that. And those people really, I think, exemplify what I'm talking about in intuition. So whether it comes from you hear voices, you see things, you notice signs and signals around you, or maybe there's just like a person always magically shows up in your life, like right when it looks like it's all going to go sideways. Intuition is that ability to pay attention to the little signs, however they present themselves in your life. And we all have them. And then if you'll notice that most people, if they're ever in a situation where they're like, if I would have just listened to my intuition, it's usually that back of the head whisper, the gut feeling, the person that showed up right at the right moment, but they ignored it. So it shows up differently for different people, and it kind of depends on how they are wired, I would say is maybe the best term. Okay. But it's about figuring out wherever you get the nudge. You just know if you leaned into the nudge, you would actually be okay. But a lot of times you don't listen to it, and then you're just like, man, if I would have just listened to that, like even traffic, practice it with traffic, like practice intuition while driving.
That's true. There's a slight detour, take it.
It gets stronger. What I have found with intuition, because of the work that I do and the work that I've done, because I had to do an exercise one time where we were blindfolded and had to walk through a maze in a forest.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. At first I was like, what? No, I don't think so. Why not? But it was designed to teach us how much intuition we actually have. Okay. But our society and our world don't teach us to live with our intuition. We have these devices. We've got everything. Like, we don't even know what time it is, but if we were to actually like experience going outside and standing and getting grounded with where the sun is, and like if we just reconnect to our earth, if you will, right. A lot of times our intuition is just being drowned out by noise. Wow. So I think silence is, if I could drill this all the way down, it's really like getting silent and noticing where the nudge is.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so what is your piece of parting guidance for those that are trying to find a way to get visible and let the world see who they are?
Stop trying to chase every marketing fancy bells and whistles. Stop buying $5,000 websites. Stop trying to get all kinds of fancy branding. Start sharing your message. Get the message clear. And then go spend the money on the branding and the marketing and all that other stuff. Because I think that for the most part, you're highly distracted trying to build fancy websites that no one really cares about if you don't have a message that they actually want to hear.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. So do you want to tell us about your free gift?
So, my free gift is, it's actually a guide on how to really get in touch with using your, using what's in your hands in order to get some guidance about how to move forward in life and what you're doing. So you can get the download obviously on the website there. And
that's awesome. So just to let everybody know, the hand analysis is the most awesome thing I've experienced in a long time. It's so accurate and so on point. And it made me understand a lot of things about myself that I've been questioning. So if you have the opportunity to work with Megha and let her read your hands and, help you distill, as she says, what it is, basically the essence of you through your hands, take that opportunity and run with it. So all of the links to all of these things will be underneath this video. And I thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. You have a good day.
Appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.